jag bara möttes. Kommer du ihåg det igen? Kommer du ihåg igen? Du vill ha icy little fingers. Då du vet det chalas. All in, ingen broms, schackmatt på din vänsterhand. Du är så viktig baby. Ja, du är allians. Du är försiktig baby. Men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50 baby. Men det är balans. Jag växlar upp för dig baby. Ingen annan. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Som det, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv, baby. Aldrig titta på någon annan, varför du med annan? Kom var med mig, baby. Aldrig lita på någon annan. Finns ingen annan, jag vill ha min chokarina. Mosa och save, ingen sinna. Jag kommer alltid ride with you. 100 gubbar klart jag die for you. Du är så viktig, baby. Ja, du är allians. Du är försiktig, baby. Men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50, baby. Men det är balans. Jag växlar upp för dig, baby. Ingen annan. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Det är mitt liv, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Det är mitt liv, baby. Visa mig vad det finns. Du kommer väl till min city? Nej, jag vet att det finns. Kom det är bra lives and all nights, yeah. Jag vet inte om ni kör det. En social smuggle lady. Jag tvivlar det. Visa mig vad det finns, yeah. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Det är mitt liv, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Det är mitt liv, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Det är mitt liv, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv.
Nathan Ivey.com. Mr. Ivey know the show must go on. And far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised dogs, close fish, yeah, too strong. Team NI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the 10th place, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? Jono be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of Drippos. Show you where the Brits at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Where my people at. Good morning to you. Welcome back. Good morning. Good morning. Come back into the show. It's good to see everybody. As in social media, see everybody. Good morning to you. I want to talk about guns a little bit this morning, but I'm going to jump around. There's a couple things that I want to hit. But I want to kick things off talking about this crazy-ass story, man. I'm not sure if you're in the Cincinnati area, then you may have already heard about this, but man, this crazy story. And this shit should scare the hell out of you. We got to figure out what the plan of it. What's the plan? Because on Monday, concealed and carry, permitless concealed and carry, it'll be legal in Ohio. We're joining 19 other states? 19 other states? And I just don't trust Ohioans. And yesterday, within the last 24 hours, we got another example of why, to just validate my concerns about the whole situation. Hear about this? So apparently a man on a motorcycle, maybe he felt like he got cut off by a car, or maybe the car didn't see him, but he pulls out a weapon from what was reported, a 9mm, and fires into the car, injuring the driver and narrowly missing a child. This man later turned himself into authorities, claiming self-defense. I'm like, what in the hell? How's it self-defense and you got a weapon? See, this is the kind of shit that just scares the bejesus out of people. He shot at a Jeep with a child inside, had a 9mm Glock, and he narrowly missed a child. Some of you might have been on the Ronald Reagan Highway, which should be Barack Obama Highway. They should change the name because Ronald Reagan don't deserve it. Give me one reason why Ronald Reagan deserves to have a name, to have a highway or anything named after him. Happened about 11 a.m. yesterday near the Hamilton Avenue exit. A woman was driving a Jeep with her boyfriend in the passenger seat and her 11-year-old daughter in the back seat. And she was trying to pull over. This is what's being reported from Fox 19 and other sources. Apparently, her boyfriend was ill. Maybe he was going to pig vomit. And she tried to pull over because of that. And in the process of pulling over, she apparently cut off Grant Brown, 31-year-old Grant Brown, who was riding a Kawasaki Ninja 1000 motorcycle. Those are pretty nice. Those are the cool ones. So just imagine you're the person on the motorcycle. You know what I'm saying? That's a very vulnerable position to be on a motorcycle because, you know, you can lose your life real quick. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you got, you on top of your game. And so I can imagine that, you know, his temper was high, you know, road rage to the nth degree. I can imagine that. Here you are on a motorcycle and unexpectedly somebody just cuts you off and you weaving. You're on the interstate, so that means you're traveling at a high rate of speed. Man, that could be your life. I get it. I understand it completely. But it's been reported that his response was he pulled out a 9mm and fired into the car. He missed her, missed the 11-year-old, but he struck her boyfriend in the back. At this point, he was taken to University of Cincinnati Medical Center. His condition is unknown. But the alleged gunman, was booked into the Hamilton County Justice Center on a charge of felonious assault. I read a report where he was claiming self-defense. Is that self-defense? I don't know shit these days. I don't know what self-defense is. I don't know anything these days. Some of this stuff seems like is black and white, and then the result of it seems to be something completely different. So there are people out there that would say that we don't need gun control. Then what should have happened in this situation is that the people in the Jeep should have had a weapon to return fire to seriously injure, or kill this man to protect themselves. But again, on Monday, concealed and carry permit. No, you don't need a permit. You don't need 8 hours of training, which is really small. That's really nothing. Where my Second Amendment crowd at now? I read a report yesterday that said that the woman knew she had cut him off, and she was trying to do that thing that drivers do where, like, they look at you and they wave, they say, they mouth, or they say, "I'm sorry." Sometimes they roll the window down. They be like, "Oh, my bad. It was me." I've done stuff like that. Like, I didn't see somebody and I almost hit them. And I'm like, damn, I feel terrible. So I wave at them and, I'll show that face of remorse. We've all done that before, right? But can you imagine the response is you're looking at the barrel of a 9mm? I'll say it again, my friends. We are living in the last days. Not everybody should be allowed to have a weapon. But maybe the issue isn't even a weapon. Maybe the issue is the ammunition. It was Chris Rock many years ago who first gave us these flows, in one of his stand-ups, he was like, we don't need gun control. What we need is bullet control. Remember that? It was super dope. Chris Rock was ahead of his time, man. Chris Rock was ahead of his time. That was ahead of his time. Somebody said it doesn't start until the 13th. That's right, on Monday. That's what I keep saying, on Monday. I believe Monday is the 13th. Let me double check. Yeah, Monday is the 13th. Starts on Monday. Daryl writes, mental illness and people on edge and guns do not mix. We're about to see a lot of these types of incidents now that new Ohio gun law. Be careful out there. Yeah, I don't predict it'll be like the Wild Wild West. I don't predict it's going to be like the Wild Wild West, but I do predict you'll see more situations like that we're talking about right now until the dust settles. But in any way, can you understand a self-defense claim? Man on a motorcycle, person on the motorcycle, that's a very vulnerable position. Anybody out there, have a motorcycle, you ride a motorcycle? I mean, I've thought about it for years. I've been thinking about it lately, about getting a trike and then easing my way into a two-wheeler. I've been thinking about that. I got a buddy that is really into motorcycles. And part of my reservation is a safety thing, because it's one thing to be in a vehicle. You got some level of protection, with the plastic and aluminum, and in some cases, actual real metal and steel and shit like that a car provides. But when you're on a motorcycle, somebody nudge you or something like that, your ass is done. You wake up at UC Hospital with no skin on 35% of your body, 45% of your body. It's like, what happened to my skin? It's out on Ronald Reagan Highway. You know what I'm saying? That don't sound like a good thing. Pulls out a 9mm and fires into the vehicle, narrowly missing a car. Now, a child. She must have really almost hit him. You know what I'm saying? For him to be that in his feelings about it, she must have really narrowly missed him. It must have been like a real, like, near death type of thing, I would think. Or maybe it kind of built up. Like, man, it's scary enough. My wife just told me yesterday that when she was on her way to pick up our son from his summer camp, that she saw 4 people drive through the intersection and just go through the light. That shit, why do we even have green lights and red lights in Cincinnati anymore? And I wasn't surprised. I'm telling you, that shit is more and 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 more prevalent. That shit is more and more and more and more prevalent. People go straight through the light. And I'm in a vehicle. Can you imagine being on a motorcycle? Man, them people will split you in half. In half, literally. And then they'll be like, oops, my bad. I was texting my mom. I was texting my girlfriend, but it's too late for you. Fired a shot at a Jeep that cut him off on the highway. And I don't know, part of me feels like if you decide you want to ride a motorcycle or a trike or something like that, then I'm not saying that you should expect for people to endanger your life, but I'm kind of saying that you should expect that there's people out there that are not paying attention, that you're going to be in more harm's way than if you were in a vehicle. Is that unreasonable? Happened yesterday around 11 a.m. Near the Hamilton Avenue exit. I know exactly where that is. I don't go past there a lot, but I go past there. I know exactly where that is. He was driving a Kawasaki Ninja 1000. Now she missed him. Apparently. But I don't think, how can you claim self-defense when you didn't get hit, number one? Because you were well enough to pull a weapon out and fire it. So let me get this straight. You can one hand a weapon while on a motorcycle. That's not dangerous. I mean, what is this, Mission Impossible 2? Remember Mission Impossible 2 with Tom Cruise with his Church of Scientology crazy motherfucker ass? In the second Mission Impossible, I think they got like 10 movies out now, right? Because everything's a series. They had a bunch of scenes where he was on like a Kawasaki Ninja looking cool with the hair flowing. So if you're well enough and safe enough and feel secure enough to one hand a motorcycle on the interstate with a 9mm in your hand, like, think about this. Like, you're straight up trying to kill somebody because they cut you off. Not everybody is fit to have a weapon. There's a really interesting article titled "Opinion, Forget Gun Control. It's Time for Ammunition Control." It's written by someone named Robert Thurston. And this ain't the first time. Like, if you Google ammunition control, you're going to come up with a dozen, if not more than that, articles over the last decade in which people have said, you know what? Since these Second Amendment people love their guns, keep your guns. Let's focus on ammunition. Let's control the flow of ammunition. They do that in other cities. They do that in other big countries. Why can't we do that here in the United States? Yeah, have your guns, but we're going to regulate the amount of ammunition that you can have. Now, it could be that the courts have already ruled on this, but this is outside my knowledge. If there are smart, intelligent people that's got some information they want to bring forward to the church this morning, please feel free to do so. But the argument is that guns don't kill people. It's the bullets from guns that kill people. So since there's so much gridlock about gun control, let's focus on ammunition control. Does that seem like a smart path to you? Does that make sense to you? Or would the Second Amendment people just like increase the tent of guns to include ammunition? Like, what good is a gun without ammunition? So ammunition or guns are one and the same. Is that what would happen? Is that what would happen in your opinion? I'd love to hear it. While you ponder that, let me give you some updates. So last night you had the NBA Finals, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. It was in Boston. And if you don't know, the Boston Celtics won that. They're up now 2-1. I watched most of the game. I don't know, maybe I watched all the game, actually. Yeah, I think I watched all the game, but I was in and out doing stuff with the fam. And it was a little different. It's a little different in game 2. So we'll see what happens, man. Can I get at least 6 games is all I'm looking for. 6 games at least. I want 7. I really don't care who wins, but I want the Celtics to win because I just want to see somebody else win a championship. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see somebody else win. Let me shift your attention to an OMG story that you may or may not hear or be aware of. And this story takes us to South Africa, where a South African pastor has been convicted of plotting to overthrow the government. In addition to his plans to invoke a national insurrection, he had devised a scheme of genocide, hoping to kill thousands of Black people. He was going to poison the country's water supply. Reverend Harry Johannes Nonsen serves as the head of the National Christian Resistance Movement, was found guilty of 5 charges related to conspiring to commit treason and take over the government. He is non-Black. He is a white man. I'll show an image to you in a second here. Let me screen grab an image. You can see this guy. You got crazy white folks that want to take over the government in the United States and crazy white folks that want to take over the government in South Africa. This is what it is. Crazy ass. So his plot was he was going crazy AF. You can put this dude in the crazy AF file. His plan was to start a national insurrection and poison the country's Black population by poisoning the water supply. Yeah. That's right, because Black people are the problem. Right. Here he is right here. There he is. He looked nuts, don't he? It's just something about a beret and fatigues that just it generally don't bode well. This mofo looked like one of the villains in the new Modern Warfare Call of Duty game or some shit. The hell? What kind of Christian church is that? Because, of course, Black people are the problem. Jasmine writes, why can't Black folks just live? Because we are the problem. Jasmine, quit acting like we ain't the problem. You know we the problem. We are the problem. The hell? You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. He was a religious leader, and he planned to had already recruited and was planning to incite others to commit violent acts. Yes, they were going to take over the country and use biological weapons to infect and kill Black people. And they planned to poison the water reserves that were accessed by and supplied to Black communities in South Africa. That's the world we live in. That's the world that we live in. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. Now, I don't blame white people for this guy. I just blame this guy. I just blame him. It's his fault. He is the problem. And people with that kind of mentality, that's the problem. It's like, man, go work out or something, man. Go eat a salad or something, bro. Go chill the hell out. Let me turn our attention back to the United States and your Congress. The House of Representatives approves a gun control bill that includes a higher age for assault rifles from 18 to 21. I don't have a problem with that. Now, people will say, well, if you're in the Army, they give you an assault rifle. You only have to be 18. Well, great. Take your ass to the Army then. I don't buy that argument. They could send you to war at 18. Okay, well, then go or don't go to the U.S. Army then, or the military. But that doesn't mean that if you're not in the military, that you should have access to one of these assault rifles, which, by the way, I mean, who's using an assault rifle for hunting? Very interesting conversation yesterday with the Cincinnati NAACP's Truth to Power podcast. Hopefully you got a chance to check it out because they do the homework. And they're urging people to make politics work for you. And what they do is they provide the phone numbers and email addresses to all of your senators and your representatives so you can fire off an email or a phone call and let your voice be heard. And before you say, hey, Nate, that ain't going to make no difference, it always makes a difference. It always makes a difference. Make sure you check that out. It's up on their Facebook page right now. But on Wednesday, the House of Representatives approved a package of gun control bills that, among other things, would raise the age requirement for most rifle sales from 18 to 21. But nobody thinks anything's going to move. There's there's a big old pile of bills that the public probably has a lot of support for that's just going to die in the Senate because, of the politics of the Senate. That pile already includes a measure to require criminal background checks for all firearm sales. Let's start right there. Does anybody have a problem with a criminal background check for all firearm sales? I don't care where you get it. You get it on the internet, you get it anywhere you can get a firearm in America, you've got to get a criminal background check. Anybody got a problem with that? I know what people who have a problem with that are going to say. They're going to say some stupid shit like, well, Nate, if you look at what happened in Uvalde, Texas, he didn't have a criminal record, right? That's what they're going to say. And my response to that would be, so what? And it doesn't mean that we can't stop the next person from getting their hands on a weapon. We got to baby step this. Like, I'm pro Second Amendment. I want to have access to a weapon when I want it for self-defense. I don't have a problem with a criminal background check. Like, if you have a history of violent actions, your ass shouldn't you shouldn't get your hands on a weapon legally. No, hell no. If you got a history of domestic violence, then maybe you shouldn't get your hands on a weapon. I ain't got a problem with that. Does anybody have an issue with raising two things real quick? Raising the age requirement for most rifle sales from 18 to 21. Do you have an issue with that? And then two, do you have an issue with criminal background checks for all firearm sales? That's online. That's at the Sharonville Convention Center. That's everywhere. Does anybody have a problem with that? I would love to hear you articulate your issue because I want to learn. I don't understand it. Now, as I understand, I've read within the last 24 hours, the U.S. Senate is working on their own more modest criminal background checks and gun control bills and ideas. I don't understand why we got to baby step this shit. It's real simple. And see, the unfortunate thing is that these elites, and that's what they are, they'll sit around pontificating and talking shit. One GOP senator was asked about gun control after Uvalde. You know what this uncle said? You won't believe what he said. He said, you know what? We didn't ban guns. I'm sorry. He said, we didn't ban airplanes after 9/11. Huh? What's your point? He actually said that. They asked him about gun control after Uvalde, Texas massacre, where you had little kids, babies, innocent humans. The medical examiner from Uvalde, a doctor who's a medical examiner, he did autopsies of the children. He testified before Congress. It was either last week or the week before that. You know what he testified, my friends, and said? He testified before Congress and said that some of the bodies of those children were so just mangled, decimated, riddled by bullets, that they couldn't even identify them by just sight. They had to identify them by their clothing. And this GOP senator had the nerve to say some dumb shit like, we didn't ban airplanes after 9/11. Yeah, but we cracked down on individual liberties. We installed a new 21st century of the surveillance society. It was called the Patriot Act. Gridlock. So, maybe Chris Rock was right many years ago when he said, you know what? Scratch off gun control. We ain't ever gonna get no movement on that. The politics are too cemented. It's too the opinions are too divergent. Okay. The special interests are dug in just too much. What we need to do is focus on ammunition control. Now, is that just some like comedian type shit that you like, oh, that's funny? Or do you think that's practical? Is that practical at all? Guns don't kill people. Bullets from the guns kill people. Well, I mean, you're right. You're right. What does the Second Amendment say about ammunition? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, does that include ammunition? Like if you regulate, I remember Chris Rock's flow. His flow was like, look, if bullets were more scarce, then people would be more choosy about when they use their bullets because they ain't got a lot. I mean, from a logic standpoint, kind of makes sense. But is that just some comedic shit? Something that sounds funny, like in a Netflix special? That was way before Netflix when he did that. I think it was bigger and deafer. Chris Rock was the man. Chris Rock was on the cutting edge of comedy and social commentary decades ago. Shout out to Chris Rock, man. Will Smith deserves to have his ass beat for what he did. Some weak shit. So let's not focus on the guns. Let's focus on the ammunition. Like everybody, you get 15 rounds a year. You get 15 rounds a month or something like that. I don't know what the numbers will be. I mean, people can come up with that themselves. Is this like some like intellectual masturbation that really goes nowhere, or is there something there in your opinion? You tell me. 513-873-7134. Now, as you ponder these great matters of interest to our community and beyond, I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Renew Community Church. They are back and better than ever. Sunday mornings at 11:45 Eastern Standard Time, they offer a live streamed masterclass hosted by and led by Charlie Wimdurn, Master of Education. Learn 5 steps to brainwash your very own mind so you can be happy. The transformative mind is key. See a little smiley face there? That'll be you after you watch the live stream on Sunday. Join 2,100 plus subscribers on YouTube today. On YouTube, you can find them at Renew Community Church live stream, but they're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Cincy Renew. Good morning to you. Yeah, man, shit's ill outside. It's ill. So let me get back to this. So this Cincy story, police say the motorcyclist shot a man and barely missed a young child. Let me see if I'll screenshot the image for you. You can see this man for himself. That's some crazy shit, man. What you doing out here? Check that out. That's a screenshot. Yeah, check that out. That's a screenshot of it. There it is right there of Fox 19's page. That's the individual right there. So if you see him on a motorcycle, don't cut him off. Yeah, cray. I don't think normal adjusted people would do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's been guilty of road rage. I've dealt with road rage, but I'm not going to pull my weapon out and shoot through your car. Unless you pull out a weapon, or I think you pull out a weapon on me, then, is every man for himself. But just to pull out a weapon and shoot through the car, that's cray. That's cray. Yeah, you might have been trying to travel on the interstate highway on Ronald Reagan yesterday morning, afternoon, and it was all shut down. This because of this dude right here. And on Monday, guess what happens, y'all? Concealed and carry, permitless concealed and carry, no requirement concealed and carry will be the law of the state. Don't you feel safe? Don't you feel safe? Come on now. Come on now. Don't you feel safe? Interesting, man. I was looking at Cincinnati.com this morning, and they have an article up that reads that Black Ohioans were affected. Black Ohioans more often charged under old concealed carry rules. Black Ohioans were more often charged under old concealed and carry rules. Anybody surprised by that? So on Monday, Ohioans will no longer have to take an 8-hour training class or pass a background check to carry a concealed handgun. Anyone 21 years old or 21 or older can carry if they don't have a felony on their record or a violent misdemeanor in the past 3 years. So if you got a violent misdemeanor within 5 years, it's Gucci. Black Ohioans disproportionately face concealed and carry weapons charges. I ain't surprised about it at all. Because these officers, they police our neighborhoods and they deal with us a bit differently. Speaking of officers, yesterday we were talking about the officer, and I do have an update for you. Yesterday we were talking about the officer who had pure evil tattooed on him. This guy right here, remember this? Talking about he just likes tattoos. Got college in there too. Oh man, I'm special. Well, she said, yes, you are. What? 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 Got my tea. Got the collagen in there. Hit it with that little raw honey. Y'all know nothing about that. Don't be, see that? Ooh, that's the sound of love in the morning. I ain't had to get it myself. So yesterday we talked about this officer from the Cincinnati Police Force, formerly, an article updated says that he is gonzo. He will not be on the force. And that's a really good thing because it's common sense. You cannot represent the city of Cincinnati that way. You will scare the you-know-what out of people. And people come from out of town. You're a representation of the city and the local government here. You can't do no shit like that. Obviously, this man is struggling. He needs some help, obviously. To me, it's not enough for him to not be on the force. They need to make sure they keep their eyes on him. I'm just saying. I don't know the man. I wish him the best. But to me, he is struggling. Some mental health shit. No doubt about it. But good morning to you. 513-873-7134. If you would like to transform your brain waves into digital talk radio waves this morning, Viva La Chapas. Viva La Chapas. Morning to you. Hope you're doing well.
Oh, get to the choppers!
Get to the choppers, man. Get to the damn choppers. Ray writes good risings, all. Do you know they still making Predator movies? There's a brand new Predator movie coming out soon, and I will be watching it. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, because I don't judge you when you be playing your Dungeons and Dragons and watching Bridgerton. I don't say shit to you. So don't say nothing to me. But it's called Prey. Man, I've invested 20 years of my life into this series. Okay, so let me do what I'm doing on here. I don't know if it's going to be directly to Hulu or something like that, man. Oh, my God. If you're a movie, sitcom, entertainment kind of person, you must be loving the days we live in because you got so many options. Sidebar, I'll tell you something I've been watching lately is this Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, before you be like, why are you watching Obi-Wan? What the fuck you mean, man? I was born in the 70s. The first movie I ever saw was Star Wars. You mean why I'm watching it? When I watched Star Wars when I was a little kid, I must have seen that movie 1,000 times. That shit was super cool. Me and my brothers playing, playing with coat hangers like they lightsabers. Shh. I had no idea that you flash forward 20, 25 years, it was going to like completely, tell the whole story. I'm loving this shit. Anybody watching this shit? I'm loving it. Since we're on the topic, you know what I miss? I miss Donnie B's weekly reviews on what she's watching because I got some good ideas. But anyway, I watched that Cat Williams World War III. Man, listen. Man, Cat Williams is hilarious. Cat Williams is super hilarious. Not so hilarious on that special. The wifey and I watched it, man. We might have giggled like 3 times. Now, that ain't enough for a Cat Williams Netflix special. All we did was giggle. There was no laugh out loud, hold my stomach, like, oh, snap. I'm like, somebody got to step their game up. Anybody see that World War III? Cat Williams? That's just my opinion. Is it worth your time? No, it is not. That's how I judge things. Is it worth your time or is it not worth your time? It is not worth your time. You're going to be disappointed. You're telling lame-ass jokes that I can tell. I'm not even a comic. I wouldn't even go through it, but I was disappointed. There it is. See, that's my nigga right there. That's my dude right there. Sean, Obi-Wan Kenobi is super fire. For people who came up watching Star Wars, now they told the whole story and new stories. And Obi-Wan Kenobi fills in that gap. Oh my God, it's everything. I had to watch it. Don't judge me, because you watching Bridgerton. You out here watching Bridgerton, but you gonna judge me? You gosh darn hypocrites. That's the sound of love in the morning. I ain't even had to get the tea myself. What the hell? Shh. Hey, what's up, Cass? Lisa writes, Nate, where's your smiling face? My cam is acting up doing its own damn thing this morning. I don't know. Doing what I want to do. But the show goes on. TC writes, they're getting us prepared for zombies. I see so many zombie movies on Netflix. Me too, Ken. Me too, TC. They're everywhere. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, that was more like 3, but thank you. It's more like 3. Kimberly writes, I have my morning tea and lemon on the patio every morning. Oh my God, ain't nothing like that green tea. Ooh, you ain't telling me nothing. Put a little raw honey in there, a little collagen. Oh my God, it's good for the skin and nails and hair. You can pick it up. Good morning to you. No gun stored away from ammo in the car, from what I understand, hasn't changed. Okay. Ronald writes, I fell asleep twice. So you talking about Cat Williams? It wasn't that good. It wasn't. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your time. That's how I judge movies when I do movie reviews or sitcom reviews or anything like that. Is it worth your time? Is it not worth your time? Cat Williams World War III is not worth your time. You can do better. Your time would be better served going back and look at some of his more classic Netflix specials. I don't know what was up with Cat. He needs to get Young Jock. Anybody, speaking of which, I know I'm kind of deviating a little bit, but it's a stream of conscience type of show this morning. But anybody watch DJ Vlad? That Young Jock series of interviews is worth your time. That is worth your time, especially if you're into hip hop. I had no idea the dude was as successful. Number one, I had a completely different image of Jock than what's the real him. You know what I'm saying? He's my kind of dude. He's my kind of dude. I had no idea that he was as prolific and as he has been in the hip hop game. I had no idea. It's worth your time. It's worth your time. Good morning to you. TC writes, the earthquake special is litty lit. Yeah. The wife and I watched it. I thought he was funny. I thought he was funny. Now, there's a part in there when he's like raising anxiety about, getting a prostate exam, which I'm like, brother, we don't need that. Too many black men are afraid to get their prostate exam or to get a colonoscopy because you on some homosexual type shit. That don't mean you're a homosexual at all. There's no threat to your sexuality because you get a prostate exam. I've had multiple prostate exam. I ain't looking forward to the shit. I'm not like, yeah, let's get a prostate exam. No, not at all. My antenna are all the way up, all the way. Yeah, but it's about my health. I ain't got no problem taking no prostate exams. I haven't taken a colonoscopy, but I'm going to take one real soon. I'm going to walk you through the process. This is what we got to do to make sure we're here for our families. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to say no. I don't never say no homo. Fuck I look like. My sexuality is not in question. It's not up for debate. I can show love for my brother. I can show love and compassion for another man as my brother. And I can tell you I wouldn't got a prostate exam, and my sexuality is not on the table for discussion. It's never in question. We need to stop saying no homo. Stop saying that shit. You don't need to say it. It's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Because who's implying some kind of homosexual shit? And if I was homosexual, I would tell you I'm homosexual. Like it or don't like it. That's just me. I'm a big believer in people being who they are. Proudly, loudly, and boldly. Just be you. If a mofo don't like it, that's their problem. But you shouldn't have to not be who you are or dim your light or whatever because somebody else gonna get in your feelings. I hate that shit. Can't you tell? I hate it, hate it, hate it, and hate it. Don't dim your light. Daryl writes, I heard Obi-Wan was good. Like, if you from that Star Wars universe, it's everything. It's everything. It's everything, man. And I'm going to tell you the dopest thing about it. Then we're going to go to John in Princeton. It's been a minute since we heard from my buddy John. But the dopest thing about it, Choppers, the dopest thing about Obi-Wan is that I'm watching it with medium Buddha. Like, I'm telling you, this kid shit, man, it comes with a lot of aggravation. Because it's expensive. But, man, you go create a whole new human and they grow up and they be into the same stuff you into and you can enjoy it with your kids. Man, it's a level of satisfaction that I didn't even know was possible. I didn't know that was possible. I grew up in Star Wars and love sci-fi. Now she's into Star Wars and she can articulate and we talk about it. It's like, damn, I created a movie buddy. It ain't nothing better than that. Well, there's nothing better than that. Let's say that's the top of the top of the top of the top of the feeling. So I watched episode 4 with her yesterday. We talking about it. We enjoying it together. Oh my gosh. I'm old school. She new school. That shit it's everything, yo. It's everything. If you want to share your thoughts this morning on the show, please feel free to do so. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but that happens. It happens on this show. Sometimes it's just a stream of consciousness. I got a lot of feelings, a lot of things I want to share with you and talk about. Some more serious, some less serious, but hopefully equally engaging, hopefully. But let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivey and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as the good people around the world. And good morning to the Choppers. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, John. It's been a minute. How are you?
Hope they ain't coming after nobody around the neighborhood there.
Oh, you can hear that? You can hear that in the background?
Yeah, clear as a bell.
Oh, boy.
You know, sometimes when I call in, I got to stand in line. You have a lot of important callers calling in, and your show is hot and topic. I understand. Sometimes I have to take a step back. And I listen whenever I can if I'm not working most of the time. But I said, let me try an early call before it gets hot and dropping everybody else that calls in. So I got you. Good. That's good. You know, you were talking about a couple of interesting topics yesterday. And I'm sure people are concerned with the shooting. We don't have to recap that too much. You probably talked about it a lot. But, you know, listening to Drop, I think it was yesterday, he brought up a lot of clear points. focusing on
Huh?
shooting and what is going to happen with this so-called phony bill that's going no place. Basically, let's be clear, choppers out there. Whatever stupid bill that the Congress, the Republicans, the Democrats create is going nowhere. It's a joke, and the joke is on us. The bill will go nowhere because it doesn't get to the meat and where it needs to go, which is, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Nathan Ivey, if I was president, I shut it down and take all the guns away. Okay, I know you gun fanatic nuts that want to tote 4 and 5 guns on your hips. Yes, you got to take the guns away. If Canada can do it, France can do it, and several other countries do not have assault weapons and all these guns. We're the most violent country on the face of the earth. And unless you take the damn guns away, I know you nuts. You want your guns. I understand. It's like a candy. You gotta have a fix, but I understand it's out of control and you're not gonna take the guns away. So let's put that to the side. But if you're not gonna take the damn guns away, then what do? How do you fix the problem? They don't want to fix the problem. There are more guns out here on the streets than it is people. So the problem is not going to fix. You're not going to fix the problem. Then if you're not going to fix the problem, then kick the Congress, the Senate, the Supreme Court, kick them all out and start this mess all over again. If not, yes, we are headed in the direction of a revolution. I see it coming. It's right around the corner. And countries like Russia, China, and other countries that hate our guts want to see us fall. And we're playing right into the damn game. Yes, we are playing into it. So stupid Trump that was in office a year ago, he sparked it. When a nut like that has on his nightstand in the White House a book of Hitler, that shows you where this character is going. He didn't hide nothing, Trump, telling you where he's going. He told you before he became president where he's going, and he implemented the policy with the blessings of the Russians and China. China's just on the back leg, sitting back. China's not going to do anything. They're not going to spark a war with us because they own 40% of our stock right here. China doesn't want to give up too much. They'll play the talking game and negotiation, but 40% of what they own is what we owe them, and we can't afford to pay it back. If they don't want to pay reparation, which comes into the trillions of dollars in paying black people, Nathan Ivey, let me just springboard really quickly over. I don't know if you saw that 60 Minutes show this past Sunday. The second show on that lead show on 60 Minutes, not the lead show, but the show that the inkling of the report deals with 1 point something billion dollars paid to the Native American tribe up in Canada. Oh, I know, Choppy. You're saying, well, what are you talking about Canada for? Look at what that lead story talked about. A federal lawsuit with Canada, not with Canada, but the Catholic Church that claims that Native Americans that went to school, they're older now, they're suing that Catholic Church, and the Pope next month is traveling to Canada to officially apologize. If he's apologized, he's going to pay that reparation. He's going to pay that lawsuit. Now, if that happened in Canada, what happened here in this country? Yes, there's plenty of Native American tribes right here, and stuff like that I read about went on for years. But the lawsuit dates back to 1892 and Springboard, and the lawsuit is continuously going. So you're probably saying, oh, you're jumping around all over the place, John. Well, I'm pointing out reparation, which you feckless black people sit back and do nothing about. But give you a report? That, yes, I've been following that so-called report there in California. I've been following it closely. I see where this California governor is going. He wants to run for president in 24. So he'll do what he has to do. So he initiated a report a year ago, put together a committee. Yes, I got on Zoom and followed that committee for what they've been doing. The report came out. I have a copy of that report, Mr. Nathan Ivey, if you want to see it or read it. But it's just a report. It goes nowhere. it holds nobody accountable. It's a nice report, but I haven't read through all of it. But it talks about reparation. And this committee's job is to point out the right and wrongs. Yeah, that sister in Texas that had that reparation bill, she's following it too. But these are all reports. And we as Black people sit back and do nothing about it. If we get reparation, whenever we get reparation, I hope it does happen, this will settle a lot of problems that goes on in our communities. But we don't want to fight for it. So, okay, to bring it back over to this so-called phony gun bill that goes, once again, it goes no place.
Can I say one thing, John? Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What makes it phony? Like, these are legislators. They were elected to provide policy solutions to problems in their communities. Right now, a lot of people say that the gun violence is a problem. So you have the House of Representatives, and they come together. There's a majority of Democrats, and they offer a set of policy ideas to address the problems. Are they not supposed to do that because it's less likely or not likely to get through Congress? I mean, through the Senate? That doesn't make any sense to me. So what makes you say this is phony?
Nathan Ivey, this gun problem has been going on since 1776. When we kicked the factless British government out of this country to take over the country, and that was a joke back then, the violence with the guns have always been there for over 300 years. You have a valid question. Yes, you are right. We elect these factless Republicans and Democrats and the Supreme Court and president to do a job. See, they got it twisted, Mr. Nathan Ivey. We control them. They don't control us, but they want us to think they control us. And we play into the game. So, you can elect these characters and put them in office. That doesn't mean they're going to do what the will of the people wants them to do, which they don't. They get the money from the lobbyists, backdoor deals. They get on TV, yell, scream, and spit. And when the TV lights go off, they're whining and dining each other, cheating on their wives, their husbands. It's a joke. And the joke is on us. So this gun so-called, whatever bill that they come up with, to me, it's just a joke. It's a smoke and mirrors. They're not going to fix anything. They're already telling you what they're going to do before they even pass anything. And if it goes to the Senate, it goes no place. So let's not fool each other. Let's brace yourselves. The tears we saw of the parents and the kids and what went on will be just a joke. It goes nowhere. And I'm sure your gun lobbyist friends, Mr. Nathan, are applauding, will be jumping up and down. Let's put it this way, Mr. Nathan Ivey. It is the Wild, Wild West. That's what it is. We're resorting back to history. Back in the Western days, 1800s, 1900s. It's the Wild, Wild West all over again. And I end this with you. Where is the shooting going to be next? Is it going to be in Ohio? It's going to be California? Well, California has it. Texas has it all the time. More gun shootings are always going on in Texas. These white boys, they want their guns. They want their tanks. They want their bazookas. What are they preparing for? Are they preparing for war? Yes. They're preparing for war. And we as Black people sit back, rubbing our marbles, thinking it's going to be a party. Well, the party's been over a long time ago, people. So your question is valid. You have legislators, their job is supposed to do their jobs, but they don't do their job. And when they pass these stupid laws, they get up there on TV, oh, see, we fought for the will of the people. They fought for nothing. They vote and do what they want to do and take the money under the table, and they take their vacations, and we don't come back and grade them. Excuse me, Senator or Congress so-and-so, you signed the bill that we didn't even know nothing about in the middle of the night, and then you get your raise, the gall of them, and getting raises in the middle of the night, and we're not even aware of it. This is our taxpayers' dollars that we pay them for a raise, and they don't even let the American people know, excuse me, American people, should we get a raise? No, we should be judging them. My mother used to always say, you get the stupid government that you deserve. And I'll end with this. Unless you have another question that you want to propose to me, Mr.
I do
Nathan
not.
Ivey.
I do not, sir.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Drop or Mr. Russian or anybody want to call in, and they're gonna call me a whole bunch of names. Oh, that doesn't bother me. You don't even vote. How dare you say something? Hey, I can speak louder than you speak, and I don't have to vote. I have the right to challenge anybody that takes my taxpayers' dollars and drop bombs all over the world and sit on TV and yell and scream like they're doing something and they do nothing. So this bill, prepare yourself, people. This bill coming out will go nowhere.
Well, we know
Nowhere.
that already,
Not-
John. I mean, it's DOA if it can't get through the Senate. But listen, I
but
appreciate your call, John.
well, before I hang, I have one
Go
question
ahead.
to you.
Yeah,
I have
finish
one
up.
question to you. What would you do with this bill, Mr. Nathan Ivey? What would you do?
Okay. Well, John, let me hang up and I'll answer. I appreciate you.
All right.
Most deaf. He's asked me, what would I do with this bill? I'm not even sure what that means. I don't really understand the question, but he's saying, like, do I support it? I haven't read the bill itself. Let me add that caveat. But what's being reported about it to me is common sense. So I would support it. Based upon what I've read, which is reporting about the bill, I would support. I do support the elements that I've read about, which is increasing the age of purchase for assault rifles from 18 to 21. People might say, well, what about the military? You can go to the military, they'll give you a rifle. Well, great. That gold didn't go to the military then. This ain't the military. And then background checks for any gun purchases, no matter where it's at. Online, at the Sharonville Convention Center, one of these gun shows, anywhere and everywhere, background checks. Now, what people are going to say to that is, well, look at Uvalde. That wouldn't have stopped Uvalde. He got it legally. Okay. And what's your point? You know, we'll get to that. You know, the reality is that I hear a lot of these primarily Republicans, and their opinion resides in a place that we already know exists, which is that in a society where you have access to guns, you're not going to be able to 100% stop somebody from doing something crazy. That's not the point. The point is to try to slow it down as much as possible, right? Without taking away the overall freedom of having access to guns. That's what the issue is. But their arguments reside in this sort of like this gray area, right? That makes a little bit of sense. Like, we all know that. Like, who doesn't know that? Who in this audience doesn't know that in a society that is not going to completely restrict access to weapons, that you're going to have instances where people get access to weapons and do something unlawful? We all know that. That's not the point. The point is to try to do as much as you can to prevent somebody from being the victim of a mass shooting or gun violence. That's as much as you can do. And we have not done everything we can legislatively and policy-wise. Let's try it and see what happens. But we shall see. 513. That man just went off. And you know what's so funny about him? Is the don't even vote. Let me move on. Let me talk about Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey. I was watching game 2 of the NBA Finals, and guess who was there? Killmonger. I'm like, wait a minute, is it Killmonger at the damn game? That was Killmonger, aka Michael B. Jordan. Ladies, do you think that Michael B. Jordan is attractive? A lot of women seem to. He's like some sort of a sex symbol, something like that. I just think he's a sharp brother and he's very talented, and I support talented Black people. I support everybody, but especially talented Black folks. But, you know, he was in a long-time relationship with Lori Harvey. You know, for a long time, I thought that was Steve Harvey's biological daughter. That's not his biological daughter. That's his daughter-in-law through marriage. And she took his last name. I don't know the whole story, but she took his last name, I think, because he got a name. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be Lori Jackson or you can be Lori Harvey. which do you want to be? Lori Harvey. And I don't know what she does. I went to her Instagram page. It's nice. She's a model. She does all this kind of stuff. She's got like she's an entrepreneur. She's got a skincare line called Skin, SKN by LH, Lori Harvey. And she seems to be doing well. I wish her the best. You know what I'm saying? And she has been linked to a lot of big names like Future and Diddy and others. I mean, that's just the world she's in. You know, she ain't looking for no regular degular. Hey, what's up, son? Love you. Love you too. Have a great day. Be yourself, man. Uh-oh, your mother's face. Uh-oh. She must be running late. She got that mother face. Anyway, so I went to her Instagram page because a long time I didn't know I thought she was like an entertainer or something. Like she had an album out or something like that, but she doesn't. Like she's famous for being Lori Harvey and being a model, which is cool. You know, shit, you make a lot of money making a model, being a model, taking pictures and shit. Shh. Big money, big money, big money. But it's been their relationship has been well publicized because he's like a leading man in Hollywood. You know, he's been in a lot of movies like Creed, and he did this movie that was straight to Netflix where he played like this ex-military dude. It was like an action movie. It was super fire. It was fire. So Michael B. Jordan's, you know, he's a big time somebody. And it appears if you want to get with Lori Harvey, you can't be no regular degular dude. You got to be one of these 1%ers or some shit. High value man. Don't you miss Kevin Samuels? Damn. It's that brother, man. Anyway, so it's been well publicized that they broke up recently. And it was interesting because I wasn't following Lori Harvey, but I did on Instagram just because. And I was going back through her pictures and there was no pictures of Michael B. Jordan. Then it was reported that she like took all the pictures of him off. And I'm like, damn, what happened? Then I go to his Instagram page and he still got pictures of them up, you know, which seems to be a more sensible thing. You know what I'm saying? And y'all break, it depends on what happened. Like somebody break your heart or cheat on you or try to F you over. Yeah, you'll go back and scrub everything from them and tear up all the pictures and shit. And I didn't know there was such a big age difference. Like he's 35, she's 25. That's a big age difference. There's a big difference from between 25 and 35. You feel me on that? But as the story goes, and people have been commenting on this, is that apparently he wanted to get married and she didn't want to get married. And that happens. You know, sometimes a man meets a woman, you like marriage material, but she ain't ready. And sometimes a woman meets a man and she like, I found my boo, but he ain't ready. And that's completely okay. You know, nobody can tell you when to get married. Point in fact, I think a lot of people get married when they shouldn't get married and they get married too young. 25 is pretty young to get married. That's pretty young to get married. 25, you know, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend getting married later in life if you want to get married at all. Because I've told you before, marriage is a business. You ain't got to be married to somebody to love them. You don't have to be married to somebody to live with them. You don't have to be married to somebody to enjoy having sex with them. You know what I'm saying? You can just cohabitate and have an agreement. You know what I'm saying? You can have love without having like, you know, this American marriage license and all that kind of shit. Marriage is a business of long-term cohabitation and wealth building. That's what marriage is all about. Anybody that tells you different has either never been married or they've been watching too many fairy tales. Marriage is a business of long-term cohabitation and wealth building. That's what it is. Because again, you don't have to be married to love somebody. You don't have to be married to be committed to somebody. You don't have to be married to be intimate with somebody. You know what I'm saying? You can climax and not be married, or you can be married and never climax. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the climax, you know what I'm saying? Which is super important to some people. So, you know, I've been seeing people post these different things about, yeah, you go, girl, you be yourself. And I'm with that. You know, nobody should pressure you into getting married. Nobody, man or female. Let me tell you a little story. Like, I met the wifey. I married her young, and I'm older than her by a few years. And looking back, and we both talked about this, we both agreed that we got married too young. Looking back, we ain't had to get married. We could have just been kicking it, shacking up, whatever he was doing, hooking up. That was just cool. You know what I'm saying? You can't rewrite history. And I remember, I may have told the story before, but I did not tell you again. So I met the wifey at UC and I proposed to her. Bought me a little ring. I might have spent like 5 on the ring. I'm in college. I don't got no fucking money. I might have spent like 5 on a little ring with some diamonds in it. Proposed to her, but she wasn't ready. She turned me down. Heartbroken. Heartbroken. At the time, she was dating some dude that she was dating before she met me. She wanted to be with him. I understood. I ain't had no hard feelings about it. I mean, I was heartbroken. I'm listening to Eric Benet and shit, and all the songs you listen to when you heartbroken. But I wasn't mad at her. I mean, shit, choose who you want to choose to be. Be with who you want to be with. But as things turned out, we ended up coming back together and obviously getting married and the whole 9 yards and shit. But it's funny because we've been married like 22 years now. But sometimes we'll sit back and reminisce, and we both agree, like, why we do that? We didn't have to. I think she, sometimes that religion shit messes shit up. It really does. Men and women, but I want to say primarily women, where women get in their feelings like, I'm having premarital sex. Like, Negro, you're going to have premarital sex anyway. Stop all that shit. But, some women, they get their convictions. They grow up in the church and yada, yada, yada. They end up making mistakes or making decisions based upon the wrong shit. So when I saw this shit with Lori Harvey, I'm like, that's regular deck. That's normal. Ain't no big deal. She 25. I can understand being 25. You don't want to get married. He's 35. I can understand being 35 and you already get married. Like, he been in Hollywood his whole adult life. He probably did it all and seen it all and played all the games and did everything sexually that a man would want to do. So at some point, with some men anyway, they get to a point where they're like, you know what? I don't want to do that no more. I get it. But you never know. You never know. What's the moral of all of this shit? Do you be you? Do you be you? But I'll say it again. Like, you do not have to be married to find love. You can find love without marriage. You can find commitment without marriage. You can find good sex without marriage. You can find a life partner and not be married. The marriage is when you want to take it to that business level. You know what I'm saying? Name on the paper, documents and all that kind of shit. I got rights over your body and, over the bank accounts, and we both building and both our name on the lease and all that kind of shit. That's wealth building. That's long-term cohabitation. Y'all feel me on this? You feel me on this? 513-873-7134. But I wish them the best. They're both to be both attractive people. There's a billion times one women out there that would love to be with a Michael B. Jordan type. And I'm sure it's the same thing with a Lori Harvey type. They'll be all right. They paid. They'll be all right. Ain't no hard feelings. So fellas, you when you get with a lady y'all been killing for a little while, chilling, and you get to the point where you want to get on bended me. Number one, as I've said before, you should never ask the woman to propose to marry you, especially in public, and you don't already know the answer, because that's a recipe for getting your feelings hurt. Your face gonna be all fucking high. You're gonna be sweating. You're gonna feel real stupid. Don't do that. But fellas, if you find yourself in a situation like that, cool. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be heartbroken, and maybe she's another dude that she really into, or maybe it was a dude she was dating before she met you, and she's conflicted and all this kind of shit. Let her have it. You know what I'm saying? Turn on Eric Benet. Eric Benet is good music for men, primarily black men, to get over. When you heartbroken, get you some Eric Benet. You know what I'm saying? A Day in a Life album helped me back in the day. But I wouldn't have no hard feelings. Don't have no hard feelings about it. Let her live her life. Shit, nobody owes you nothing in this world. Nothing. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts. I told you I got a lot of thoughts that's just been building up. It's like stream of consciousness kind of thing here. Good morning to you. Oh, man. Shaba writes, Michael B. Jordan can join Robert Kraft and Deshaun Watson as a massage parlor for happiness. You silly for that. Tony writes, and we got Deborah Nesbitt coming up in a second. Deborah Nesbitt. Kevin Samuels is somewhere looking at Lori Harvey, right? See you in the danger zone. Nah, I don't know. A lot of people think she's attractive. I don't know. Kendall writes, marriage is important. We need more of this in the black community. Yeah, if you're having kids, especially. In terms of wealth building, yeah, you got two incomes coming in. Y'all can pool y'all wealth together and build something spectacular together. Yeah. But yeah, if you're gonna have kids, I think you should have a strong relationship and be married. But I bet you there's some people out there that have never been married, and they're even more committed to one another than people who are married. When you start signing them documents, that's a business arrangement. Marriage is a business arrangement. That's what it is. When you find somebody not only that you love, but that you want to cohabitate with and you want to co-wealth build with. It ain't just about you don't marry nobody because you love them. That's not why you get married, because you don't have to get married to love somebody. Y'all can love each other with no commitment, you know what I'm saying, and kick it without all the hassle and all the entanglements. Marriage is a business arrangement. That's what that is. It's the business of long-term cohabitation and wealth building. If you ain't trying to do that with somebody, then don't get married. You know what I'm saying? If you have no plans on having kids, maybe you don't want to get married. If you're gonna bring kids into the mix, in my opinion, that means you talking about a long-term, connection with that man or with that woman. That's just me. You might feel differently. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. This is Deborah Nesbitt, the voice of reason. How you doing?
The voice of reason. I'm doing well, Deborah. Welcome
I
to
am
the
the
show.
voice of reason. I am the happy medium. I'm not too. I probably am ridiculously far left, but I'm definitely not too far right. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm a happy medium. But I don't know. Marriage is important, I guess, for society. I think we can do all the things we need to do without like the whole religion thing. Like, you're right. That does get a lot of people caught up. I have to get married because God said so. Okay, whatever. Yes, Michael B. Jordan is fine. He's also a pretty decent guy. Like, seems like I was surprised that they made him Killmonger. Like, that just doesn't seem to be him to me. You know what I mean? Like he was in he had a brief cameo in the Space Jam movie. Like, that seems to be more Michael B. Jordan to be like.
Oh, that was hilarious too. Michael Jordan is here as Michael B. Jordan. That was hilarious.
Right. So that seems to be more Michael Jordan than me. I don't really see him as him as Killmonger. Really, like, he did a great job, but just kind of threw me for a loop. Just like when weird people are the villain. Hey, and Bridgerton is awesome. Bridgerton. Like, I don't know, like, Bridgerton is a romance now. Bridgerton is all chick flick. Bridgerton be having me all in my Harlequin romance novel days, black romance novel days. Oh my God. Bridgerton is awesome. But I love Star Wars too, though. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Which is an excellent love story, by the way. Or a terrible love story if you think about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Star Wars is just sci-fi Bridgerton. It's fine to think about it that way, but it is. It's Bridgerton for dudes and nerds. It's a great love story. And I don't know, poor little Anakin almost destroyed the whole universe for the love of a woman.
Yeah.
Men be extra with these guns and lightsabers. Like, I don't know, gun violence is just I'm terrified to send my kids to school this fall. Like, it's just so weird to think that somebody could walk into a classroom and just shoot up your kids for no reason. We'll never know why this guy did this. We'll never know what the purpose was. It's just they're just gone. I've been crying with these parents all week, watching their videos, watching their testimonies, watching their kids and their now blank faces just relaying the facts. I watched this one video where these people that work in a warehouse, they bring in an active shooter expert, and the active shooter expert is like an 11-year-old girl. And then they're all like, whispering and talking and like, oh my God, like, this can't be real. And then she walks in and is like, if I was an active shooter, you all would be dead. Because the first thing you have to do is be quiet. And then they all be quiet and listen to her. But she's the active shooter expert at 11 years old. I don't know. The main thing, gun violence is just horrible. I believe in the Second Amendment, though. I believe, but I don't think it's interpreted correctly. I don't think it means you can have any weapon that you like. I don't think you should be able to own a tank. I think assault weapons are just way off the target. The one thing they say, we haven't had any gun control measures, but remember that country concert where they shot up like 600, 800 people? It was like one guy.
You talking about in Vegas?
Yeah, they did actually pass one gun law after that. One. It was a tiny one, but they did do it. And that was that they got rid of bump stocks, which basically takes an automatic weapon and makes it like more, you can have more ammunition. So they did do that back then. That's like the only concession they made to like maybe you shouldn't be able to shoot up 800 people at once. So I don't know if the House passed the bill last night, but they say it's not going to get through the Senate. So they don't care. I mean, it's just they don't care what the average American person wants, which is really no guns at all. I mean, they don't have guns at their events. Like you can't bring guns on the congressional floor. They didn't have guns at the NRA meeting where they had Trump come and speak. They're like, you're not allowed to have guns here. It's the NRA. Like you all are promoting guns for everybody else. Why don't you want them at your event? Apparently, a bunch of angry white guys standing around with guns is obviously not a good idea. And we're not talking about white supremacy and guns. We're not talking about, well, I don't know, maybe we are, but like CBS this morning pissed me off so bad yesterday. Everything that we've had right now has been a white shooter, I don't know, except for like the thing that happened in Uvalde, which, I mean, pretty much living in the Texas white culture. And the one black guy who was out in Fox News in New York. So it's all about white supremacy. And then CBS News showed a thing about ghost guns and black men. Everything that they had on guns, it was a black man getting chased by the cops. It was a black man with a gun. They're talking about people manufacturing plastic guns in closets. I guess they're 3D manufacturing guns. I'm like, really? Like CBS, they everything they showed about guns was about black people, which is like, that's why white people want the guns in the first place. Like they call themselves defending themselves against us. But there's a threat. Like, what have we, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it's a different world to me. Like, gun violence is just awful. This is horrible. I've lost friends to gun violence. I don't know. I don't want to see anyone else lose their life to unnecessary gun violence. That's really all you can say, but you know it's going to happen again tomorrow. And the day after that, and the day after that. I mean, somebody just shot at somebody on Ronald Reagan, right?
Yeah,
like,
I've been talking about this morning, right?
The lady pulled over because her significant other was having a medical issue, and dude felt she cut him off and shot at him.
Right. Like, we can't talk this out.
Right. I had not somebody shooting at me, but I had something like that happen to me in traffic. I guess I was having a really bad day, or maybe I was, you just drive home and you drive home on autopilot. Like you just, and I guess I did something in traffic that made somebody mad. And they proceeded to like they were like tailgating me and blowing at me and whatever. So I pulled over and like where I like pulled beside them at the stoplight. Like, this was dangerous enough as it was, but they had their window down. So I rolled my window down. I was like, look, I don't know what I did to make you mad, but I'm sorry. Like, I was just driving. I probably wasn't paying attention, but I'm sorry. It's on me. And he was like, oh, like it took all their thunder. Like, I don't know what they expected me to say, but it was just like, hey, it's on me. Whatever it is, let's just let it drop right now. Like, I have no idea what I did to make those people mad, but I'm sorry. Yeah. Have you talked about the hearings tonight this morning? Have you talked about that?
Not this morning. No, I haven't. The January 6th
hearings are, Yes. So there are two different investigations happening. I love listening to Heather Cox Richardson. She's a really great person to listen to for resources on what's happening now in the government and how it ties into American history. Great resource. And she did this lecture the other day on Facebook. She does them like twice a week anyway. One on history, one on current events. The one she did on the current hearing is just brilliant. Like, it lasts for an hour and it's worth listening to the whole 60 minutes. She talks about how it's two different hearings going on right now. One is from the Department of Justice and one is the Congressional Committee. Oh my goodness. The Congressional Committee is the one that's meeting, is the one that's having the hearings. So that's the Department of Justice is the ones that's locking people up, arresting people. This one is about how to change the laws or how to prevent this from ever happening again, what happened on January 6th. But they can also make recommendations to the Department of Justice. And it's all about narrowing the circle to get to the old orange bastard himself. So now they're talking about the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, and then they're narrowing it down to who they were talking to in Congress and the aides, and eventually how that leads to Trump. The scariest thing, like when I was watching, like we knew January 6th was going to happen. Like if you were on Twitter or social media, you knew it was going to happen. I stayed home that day because I really thought, remember when they did the whole thing with the trucks on 275 and all the trucks like filled up 275 in a circle?
Yeah.
I really, and then not long after that, like in Texas, I think they ran a Biden campaign bus off the road. I stayed home on January 6th because I thought white people were going to really be taking random pot shots at black people, like they appear to be doing now. But I thought that was what happened on January 6th, so I stayed home. I didn't go to the grocery store, didn't go anywhere, stayed home. And then the whole insurrection happened, and we're like, okay, they're a little rebellious. And I thought, well, nothing's really going to come of this. I didn't think that they were going to take it seriously because it's a bunch of white people breaching the Capitol. And, but apparently they are really taking it seriously. I know that a lot of the people a lot of the Democrats were mad because they had to bunker with these Republicans who wouldn't even put on masks at the time in the middle of COVID. So apparently they're really pissed off. And they're doing everything that they can within the law to hold these people accountable. Like they don't, it would be easy for Biden to, I guess, go the Trump route, but that's not what he wants to do. His whole purpose right now is to restore the norms of democracy and say, this is who we are. These are the people we're going to be, and we're going to do this as much within our norms and laws as possible. And I didn't know, like, people have compared this to Watergate, but the Watergate hearings took 2 years. Like, it seems like they always make it seem like Watergate just happened. Like, like 1 minute they were like, oh, he broke into the building. But then there were like hours of testimony, and then they dug down into that testimony and dug down in the tapes. And then they finally were like, oh, wait a minute, somebody broke into the building, and that's when all hell broke loose. Like, that wasn't immediately obvious that there was even something there. So it was the investigation that unveiled it all. They have a lot more evidence in this case, and they've already done like hours of testimony with people. And I think this is the part of the revolution that's going to be televised because they're really like down to the point where it's like, this is the part you really need to see. So they've already got tons of evidence, hours of testimony. This is the part that they're actually putting on television. And it's not the Department of Justice, it's the House Select Committee. But everybody's calling it the January 6th Committee. I really hope it ends with Trump being arrested, Marjorie Taylor Greene being arrested, Lauren Boebert being arrested, a whole bunch of Republicans being arrested. And hopefully we never have to go through anything like what we went through on January 6th again. Nothing should interrupt the peaceful transfer of power in America. Like, that's what we're known for. The next president hands over the keys to the bus and the next person starts driving. And Trump damaged that horribly among everything else he's torn up. And he should be called to account for that, among a lot of other things.
Absolutely.
So that's my sermon for today. Please watch the hearing tonight, folks. Get your friends to watch it. Pop some popcorn. There's one thing Heather Cox Richardson said. She said the people who watch Fox News and the people like that, they're gone. They're the true believers. We'll never get them back. She said the people that we need to focus on are the people who aren't paying attention. The people who think it's not a big deal. The people whose minds we can still change. The people who are still eligible to vote and who can really band with us to make a difference. Those are the people we need to get to watch the hearings with us tonight. Those are the people we need to get out the vote. And those are the people that we really need to try to win their hearts and minds and get them on our side, because they're our future and our children. So that's my sermon for today. I'll see you out here on the internet, Snake.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. That's Deborah Nesbitt. I appreciate the call. Oh, man. I'm with her. I mean, I know, what was it, Fame called in? One of the choppers called in was like, oh, man, we should be worried about gas prices. We shouldn't worry about January 6th. Well, point in fact is we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't know about you, but, I'm a head of a household just like you and me. My wife and I are the head of this household together. Many of you are the head of households, right? We deal with multiple issues that are going on simultaneously. So as a community, as citizens, we can do the same thing. There's a lot of shit that's going on. And a lot of these mofos and shit that try to take over the government on January 6th, do you think they're friends of the black community? Some of these folks was calling, I remember there was a black Capitol Police officer. They calling him the N-word. Who you think was the next target? If they could have got that over, if they could have got that off, what you think was the next target? You think that was friends of our communities? Come on now. And again, we black folks, we black and brown folks, we FBA, we whatever you want to call yourself, we're minorities, if that's what you believe in. Some folks don't say that, don't say that. But we American citizens too. Shit, they always hitting us with that law and order shit. Persecuting our communities, locking up our family members. Gosh darn it, the rules should apply to everybody. You let that have been like some old black separatist type movement shit. Man, listen. So the rules apply to everybody. We American citizens, we taxpayers, property owners. Shit, we want to live the American dream like everybody else. So any threat to that, threat to what we're trying to do as well. That's how I look at it. We all American citizens, right? Some folks may not like to admit that, but it's the truth. I'm an American citizen. I know what the rules are supposed to do or supposed to be. Shit, I want you to uphold my freedoms like everybody else's. These mofos get whipped into a frenzy on some subtly racist shit, which is replacement theory. Replacement theory is racist. How many people do you think that gathered on January 6th to try to take over the government believed in replacement theory? How much of a step is replacement theory from being a threat to our communities? I don't think it's too many steps. That's just me. But so, yeah, I think it's very important. I will be watching and I'll give you some breakdown on a day-to-day, things that are relevant. You know what I'm saying? But let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection, Drop Squad 52. Great show today. Shout out to John from Florida, a.k.a. Mr. Zorro. I can't believe how many times he shouted me out, Nate, even though he was kind of all over the place with what I said. And again, another shout out to the voice of reason, Deborah Nesbitt. And all I want to say, Nate, is that I want to kind of jump on what John and Deborah Nesbitt was saying.
Go right ahead, sir.
Deborah just said that from the commentary she's been listening to, based on her opinion about January 6th, that the intent of these public hearings, which tonight will be the first one, and then they're going to be, I think, 5 or 6 others, which they haven't actually scheduled yet, which will also be public. And Deborah said something very interesting. She said that they're trying to reach the undecided people out there. Now, Nate, I know Deborah Nesbitt is a voice of reason, and we all know where John from Florida is from. But, Nate, it's political. It's obvious that this thing is political. The country is split, Nate. There's no independence. There's no middle ground people that are undecided. This whole January 6th thing, insurrection, riot, civil unrest, whatever you want to call it, happened 2 years ago. And the committee tonight, with their opening statement, is going to try to convince America that they have been investigating the events of that day and what happened leading up to that day. But guess what, Nate? Everybody knew what Trump was going to do if things did not turn out the way he said. Trump was talking about rigged and stolen elections a year before January 6th, 2020. And the person in charge of security at the Capitol on the day that Trump had a rally down the street, the president had a rally, there was no protection. And will the committee tonight cover that part of January 6th, leading up to that date? The person in charge of congressional security is the Speaker of the House. She was notified days in advance from the White House that National Guard should be called up for that day of the president's speech down the street from Congress. So again, Nate, Deborah and John pointed out great points. This is all election year politics. And at this point, where 70% of Americans, that is the clear politics average on Real Clear Politics, 70% of Americans thinks the country is headed in the wrong direction and our president is in the low 40s in approval. In 4 categories, Nate. So again, I'm going to tune in because I'm a political junkie, but I really don't think a lot of Americans are undecided about what happened on that day, January 6th, 2 years ago.
I'm not sure she used the word undecided. I thought she used a different word. I think she said something like people aren't paying attention to it. They don't think it's important. But okay. I mean, is it political? Obviously, definitely there's going to be a political element to this. But if the poll numbers for the president was the highest they've ever been, they would still be doing a January 6th hearing. It's like, yeah, you're right.
Probably not.
Yeah, they absolutely would be doing it. They absolutely would be doing it because is there a political element to this? Absolutely. But is this also about right and wrong and trying to figure out what happened and try to hold people accountable for what they did or didn't do? Absolutely. It's about all of it.
Right. But again, like I said, Nate, the fact that they're trying to present that this was something that couldn't have been prevented, it just doesn't make sense with the people who have been paying attention. And like I said, it's 50-50. People are going to ask the question based on Trump for years talking about the corruption and talking about all the riots that happened in 2020. How could Nancy Pelosi not protect the Capitol on that day? She was the one that said, well, I may misquote her, but she said that if Trump loses, you're going to have to send troops in to remove him from office.
Yeah, we all
were talking.
Yeah, we all knew what Trump was trying to do because we knew he started that stop the steal shit, and he started saying things like months before the election. Well, the only way I can lose is if it's rigged. He started setting the table because he knew what was likely to happen. He knew he was likely to lose. And so that's what the investigation is all about, to hold those people accountable for their lies. And I'm calling you out, sir. I'm calling you a hypocrite. I'm going to call you a hypocrite because if that was a Democrat that did that, if that was a Democrat president who was in office, who came up with some big lie about how there was some conspiracy to steal the election and then whipped Democrats or liberals into a frenzy and they stormed the White House to try to steal the election for a Democrat president, you wouldn't be saying all this.
No, but see, Nate, that's what I'm saying. I'm posing this question, okay? Why was there not protection at the Capitol on that day?
We know
when
why.
You had the President of the United States speaking down the street.
That question has been asked and answered.
No, I'm talking about the committee, Nate.
No, I'm talking about.
We have to wait and see.
But we talked about this before, so I can't recall.
I know,
and I'm not going to tell you that I read every sentence of the information from the investigations that have come out. But that question has been asked and answered. That was a primary question. Like, what happened to the FBI? What happened to the military? What happened to all of these law enforcement agencies? Why did they stand down? The answer is because inside of these law enforcement agencies, they felt as if these Trump supporters they love police so much they would never go that far. I mean, it's well documented.
Come on, Nate, really? Nate, come on, stop it, bro.
Don't make me screenshot it for you, sir. I always speak facts. That's absolutely
no,
what happened.
I'm not saying, but Nate,
that's
I'm not
absolutely
saying what happened,
sir.
Not
inside
fact.
of these
my
intelligence,
point is,
let me finish, sir, and I'll let you finish.
Okay.
Inside of these intelligence agencies, these law enforcement agencies, the critical key brass that made the decision, some of them felt
Nate?
I can't tell you their names.
Who are these people
I can't tell you their names
about?
Right now. I can't recall it. But some of the folks that were in charge of making those decisions, they felt as if these Trump supporters, these pro-police Trump supporters would never go that far. And that's the reason why they stood down. Now, if you flash back to, what was it, the summer of social unrest, when Black Lives Matter was walking through D.C., man, it looked like they was ready for an invasion. They was ready for an invasion then. But when these Trump lovers, these GOPers, these people that on the surface appear to love law and order and police, when they decided that they was going to go to the Capitol and cause chaos and run amok, they thought, well, yeah, it's not going to be that bad. That was part of the decision-making process. And we found that out because of earlier investigations.
Okay, Nate. Thank you for putting it that way again, because if you remember, during the summer of unrest in 2020, at the White House, they had fencing around the White House. And you remember when Trump and his staff, they walked across the street and held up the Bible? You remember that? You remember that, right, Nate?
Yes, he held up the Bible. Yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
Okay, you remember that. The White House, under the Trump administration, because it's in Washington, D.C., okay, the mayor of D.C. has to call up the National Guard, okay? So all I'm telling you, Nate, the January 6th committee has to reconcile with some of the people out here who are asking the question, in light of all the things that was happening in the country at the Capitol, with the rioters, with the protesters, why was the Capitol not protected on that day that Trump was talking? Trump had a rally. Over 170,000 Americans showed up for his rally. So again, Nate, we have to wait and see what the committee, because they claim tonight
I still think you're being
and the
hypocritical.
proceeding. Well, I mean, you can call me a hypocrite. It is what it is.
This is what I believe.
Because in this day and age, Nate, people can pull out their phone and fact check and Google all that kind of shit.
I believe, having listened to you and your opinion over the years, that if a Democrat elected president had did what Trump did and had whipped the crowd into a frenzy based upon lies that were completely unsubstantiated, simply to allow him to stay in power, you wouldn't be focusing on that. You'd be focusing on that Democrat president and what he said and what he did, which is where the focus should be. Now, you want to ask all these other questions that don't really get to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is that the man that you voted for twice was a sore loser. And rather than just saying, okay, I lost, and going on with his life, he tried to use his influence and his power to cause a coup to take over and stay in power. That's what happened.
Nate, okay, hey, again, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it, but I'm just putting out the facts of what's happened as far as the January 6th committee up to this point and why they choose to have public hearings in prime time across all the major networks except for Fox.
You know why?
Fox is not going to run it live.
We already know why they're doing it.
But again,
they're doing it because they want to maximize coverage. They want as many people to see it as possible.
But Nate, Fox is the #1 viewed cable news network.
Yeah, but Fox
is killing CNN
Fox is the
and
willing
MSNBC.
participant of the Republican Party.
But that's not the point.
That is the point. That's the point as to why they're not going to televise it. They're not going to televise it because Fox is the media arm of the Republican Party. And they know it makes the Republican Party and Donald Trump look bad. So rather than doing their job as journalists.
What are you talking about?
What you mean what I'm talking about?
What are you talking
rather
about?
Than doing their job as journalists and presenting the information in an unbiased way to their audience, they're going to do what they always going to do, and they're going to not televise it and try to ignore it. That's why Fox is not going to show it.
Well, first of all, Nate, okay, just because they're not going to broadcast it live during their prime time lineup, it's going to be covered. So if something significant like why did Nancy Pelosi not have protection on that night, yeah, they'll probably jump in and show that.
Right,
because
with
everybody
opinion.
In America,
rather than showing it live so the audience can see what's happening and make their own opinion, they're going to have Sean Hannity, who is not a journalist. He's an opinion talk show host. They're going to have Sean Hannity critique it and then give his own biased opinion on it because Fox News is the media arm of the Republican Party. You didn't know that?
Because again, Nate, Fox News,
you didn't know that?
Is the #1 viewed cable network.
That's not my question, sir. Are you not aware that Fox News is the media arm of the Republican Party? You didn't know that? You think they're unbiased journalists?
First of all, again, Fox is part of the mainstream media when it comes to cable news. It's only 3. It's Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC.
So you're doing right now what Fox News is going to do later tonight, which is ignore the facts and ignore the question.
CNN barely has 500,000 viewers a day.
We're not talking about CNN, sir. We're talking about Fox News.
That's hardly nobody watching.
You brought them up, sir.
So why would CNN and MSNBC have a problem with Fox not showing the January 6th committee live?
I don't care. That's not the question. I don't know if CNN has a problem. I don't care if CNN has a problem. You brought up Fox News, and I'm telling you why they're not going to televise it. They're not going to televise it because they're propagandists and not journalism. And so rather than give the information in an unfiltered way and give their audience access to it, they're not going to show it because it doesn't play with their politics, which is pro-Republican Party. That's why everybody knows that. You didn't know that?
No, that's your opinion.
So you didn't know that Fox News was the media arm of the Republican Party. You didn't know that?
I already told you why Fox News is not broadcasting the committee hearing live.
I told you why they're not broadcasting it. You talking about some other stuff.
No, I'm telling you what they said on air. They said it. Okay.
Oh, so you believe everything they say?
It's just your.
That's funny,
sir. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do as far as vilifying Fox News.
I'm not trying to vilify anything. New. I'm just calling a spade a spade.
Fox News,
and you have yet to answer a very direct question. Are you telling me that you don't realize that Fox News is nothing more than the media arm of the Republican Party? You didn't know that? The willing participants of the Republican Party propaganda games. You didn't know that?
Well, see, you're trying to steal my line when I say that the mainstream media are the willing accomplices.
You didn't answer the question. So do you know or do you not know that?
So if the Republicans, like as you just eloquently put it, if the Republicans have Fox News, then that means that the Democrats have CNN and MSNBC.
So you didn't know this.
And this
That's
is what
interesting, sir.
This is Nate.
You don't even know. You watching Fox News all day, thinking they completely unbiased, and you don't even know. That's dangerous, sir.
Here you go.
That's dangerous.
We're talking about January 6th. You
brought up Fox News,
like you always do, You trying to snatch the steering wheel out of my hand and take me down another road, which I'm telling you that the January 6th committee, and then I'm getting ready to wrap it up, Nate. The January 6th committee tonight, just like Deborah Nesbitt said, just like John from Florida said, this is a political theater show that is being produced by a ABC TV executive. It's going to be a production, Nate. And all I'm saying is people are going to tune in on the three major news networks. They're going to tune in to listen to Fox, how they're commenting on what's going on. And then, of course, MSNBC, CNN will go live. They'll have their panels. It'll be breaks in between so they could talk about what was just said. So again, Nate, I'm looking forward to it.
You voted for a man twice who, instead of losing gracefully, as other presidents have done, decided he was going to whine and complain and bring up lies to try to subvert the will of the people because he lost a popular election. He just lost. And instead of you just holding him accountable and calling it what it is, you bringing up all this other nonsense. It's sad.
No, the January 6th committee is bringing up all of this nonsense.
Listen, if Trump had not fomented terrorism,
everybody in America knew.
If Trump did not set the stage for a coup, there would be no need for a January 6th committee, sir.
Nate, again, Nate, trust will verify everything, okay? Because everything
I will not trust but verify. Some of the shit I know is untrustworthy as soon as you leave your lips. I will not trust it and verify. Some of the shit you're saying don't make sense once it leaves your mouth.
Nate, politics is not about the truth. It's about what you can get people to believe. That's why the Democrats are coming out with messaging. So
right,
again,
that's
Nate,
why I'm serving you up this morning because you're not giving us facts. You're trying to make us believe some dumb shit, and I'm just not having it.
Nate, again, bro, I appreciate you taking my call.
I appreciate
the people. I appreciate the people that listen and comment on what I have to say on your show. It's not as frequent as it used to be back in the day, but I've been rolling with you for four plus years.
And I appreciate you, bro.
April 2018. And everything evolves, Nate.
Yeah.
Your show has evolved.
Absolutely.
You know, but
we're getting away from the point, but absolutely, sir. But like I told you, if Trump did not foment a coup and lie to a lot of people and whip into a frenzy that somebody has stole the election and there's no evidence it ever happened, then we wouldn't even need a January 6th. None of this shit would be happening if it wasn't for Trump. And that's the facts of the matter that you don't want to deal with.
Well, again, you're right, Nate. There are a lot of people in this country that still suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. And that's all I got. Drop Squad 52, drop this
and you're one of them.
To anyone who wants to catch it. Hold them accountable, people. Thanks, Nate.
Appreciate the call, brother. Yeah, it don't make no sense, man. And like I said, if Barack Obama had did that shit, could you imagine Barack Obama lost the election because he won twice? Let's say for a second he lost that second election. And he run around talking about stop the steal and there's information that it was stolen and playing upon people's fears that their government is being taken from them and then aligning himself with white supremacist groups, extreme groups, right? Like the Proud Boys, trying to whip him into a frenzy and validate the conspiracy theories. He wouldn't be saying that shit. He'd be talking about how a sitting president should be held accountable for being a traitor and how they tried to take over the country. And he'd be talking about the facts. But now he wants to talk about how Fox News is #1 in the ratings. That's irrelevant. So you're right. Is this going to be on some levels political theater? Absolutely. But is it necessary? And they trying to get to the bottom of and bring some light to what actually happened? Absolutely. It is what it is. We wouldn't have a January 6th committee or investigation if on January 6th, nothing happened. We wouldn't be talking about this. It was Trump. And then the Trump minions, they all got in line like, you know what? This is some bullshit, but it just might work. Yeah, stop the steal. How do we know this? Text messages. So it's all been put out there. So we can't act like we don't know the facts. And the facts is that you had high-ranking members, elected officials who knew it was bullshit. And they went along with it anyway because it was their party leader. Well documented. Well documented. You had people like Mike McCarthy and others that were sending text messages to the White House chief of staff like, hey, Trump got to stop this. But in public, they're like, yeah, stop the steal. Like you said, it ain't about the truth. It's about what you can get people to believe. And Trump, unfortunately, was able to get a lot of people to believe some shit that was not true. And so now because of it, they got to do and it should be public. Man, if they did these hearings behind closed doors, man, people will be criticizing them even more. It's got to be public. Put everything out there. Show the investigation. We can see who's on what side, who's asking what questions, what the answers are. Present the facts. Let people decide for themselves what those facts actually mean. The reason why Fox News is not going to show it, and I'm not surprised by this, is because they are in the bag 100% for Donald Trump. Now, there's a difference in Fox News programming. During the day, that's more news oriented. During the evening, that's all opinion. That's all opinion. That's all propaganda and opinion. And it's sad. And you're right. There's a lot of people, my brother, who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, and you're at the top of the list. You can't even call right, and wrong, because you're trying to spin this to make it into something that it's not, to try to make the Republican Party look good. They look bad on this. Hell, you had elected members of Congress, Republicans, that was in the crowd. Stop the steal. These are elected officials. Elected, sworn an oath. But they playing the game. And the reason why is because the Republican Party is the party of Trump. And they were like, you know what? Hey, he might be able to make this work. He might be able to stay in power for a third term. Yeah, stop the steal. Even in states where Republicans, like Ohio, where Republicans are in charge of how the elections are dealt out. So if you're a Republican Secretary of State or you're a Republican, governor, and it's your job to make sure that the elections are executed in a way that's fair, why would you ever participate in a plot to steal votes from Donald Trump? Shit don't make sense. But it don't have to make sense because we are living in the last days of common sense, where people have these preconceived notions or they believe these conspiracy theories, and that's what they believe. Even when they're presented with information that blows their thoughts and belief system out the water. Oh, no. I believe this. That's where we are. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. But I appreciate the call, man. I appreciate the call. Somebody writes, Nate, quit back and drop into a corner. He don't want to answer no questions. I mean, what? Like, you didn't know that Fox News was full of shit? You didn't know that? Like, you really thought that they were like, above the board journalism? Now, there is a difference. During the day, that's more journalism and facts. I say more. During the evening, that's all opinion and propaganda. But they'll present it as if it's facts. People love it. People love it. I ain't with the business. It's been a while since I watched Fox News. I used to watch that goofy shit just to get shits and giggles and see what like the games were and the mind control propaganda techniques and the buzzwords, just to kind of get a sense of what they had to say. But man, it's like a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. Before we roll out of here, I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Renew Community Church. They offer a Sunday morning live stream hosted by Charlie Wimburn, a Master of Education, this Sunday at 11:45 Eastern Standard Time. Their topic will be learn 5 steps to brainwash your very own mind so you can be happy. The transformative mind is key. So taking control of your own thoughts. I love it. You can tap in on Facebook at facebook.com/. /Cincy Renew. And as I said earlier, you can watch them on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream. Check them out. We got a call on the line. Listen, I'm not taking any more calls. I'm going to end the show. I got to make a move. I appreciate everybody. I wish I could get everybody in. Have an excellent rest of your Thursday. I plan to be back and hopefully better than ever tomorrow morning with you, bright and early at 7 a.m. I'm doing like a 7 to 9, 9:30, 10 a.m. type of thing these days. So hopefully you can get with that. Please like and share today's show. It still has legs. And we'll talk real soon. Until next time, I'm Nate Ivey. And I'm out.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take